Alright, we're going to look at an alternate method now for dealing with this area. We tried putting in a filled surface in this area and then filleting the legs and the tail, that intersection, and sometimes it works really good and sometimes it doesn't work at all, and then there's those times that it's someplace in the middle. So we're going to try another technique for this and see what we can come up with. I think we'll end up with very desirable results in this area. Let's begin. So to start with, what I'm going to do is go to my top plane and open a sketch on top plane. And then I'm going to take this line from this edge and I'm going to convert entities and basically transmitting it down to my new sketch. Going to lengthen it out a bit. Be sure to click on it. I'm just going to say this is for construction. Let's make sure everything I do next is all lined up. And I'm going to change my view to a good top-down type of view here. Now I'm going to go get a spline, and my spline, I'm happy with the intersection of how my tail goes into his back here. I'm going to start my spline someplace out in this area, and this takes a little bit of experimentation. There's no right or wrong way necessarily to do this with this spline. I'm just going to come down through the areas that I'm happy with, like down here on the bottom of his leg. This requires no additional blending of this surface here. Likewise, I'm going to start a second spline, make sure everything's touching, and actually what I'm going to do with this big picture is I'm going to trim out this troubled area and start fresh in here with a filled surface that should fill all of this troubled area in one shot and not actually need any further filleting. So I've got my sketch in here, and I'm going to agree to this. And the things that are important is my sketch. I need these points to come together on my spline. That's the really important part. The construction line underneath it is not as important. Okay. Now I come over here to my side and I've got trimmed surface. Trim surface will trim these the body surfaces, the tail surfaces, where they intersect with this sketch. So pick on him. Sketch 40 was selected, so it automatically put it in as my trim tool. And then what do I want to keep? Keep selections is on. I'm going to come in here and grab it. Let's grab his tail. You can see how it's projecting this sketch up and trimming off a portion of his tail. Similarly, if I just give me a little preview here, if I pick on his back leg, it's going to trim out a portion of his back leg. And if I click on his body, that should trim out his body portions. So I'm getting rid of these blue areas and keeping the purple. So I've actually given myself a larger area to fill. in order to fill, I can come in and I can grab these edges and ask it to get edge to edge to edge and fill all those areas. But there is one little place down in here. This I still need to separate out a little bit. So what I'm going to do is go back to top plane and open another sketch on top plane. Convert my entities. So it brought those all over onto this sketch. And then I think I'm going to go with split entities here. I come in right on this vertex of this edge. And I'm going to come right in on this vertex of the edge of his leg also. This time it split the entity and split the entity right on these two vertexes, which is really important because this needs to touch. And I'm going to click on this and delete it and just be left with this little segment on my sketch. Now over here on the left hand side it is already highlighted, so now when I go to a filled surface, this will construct a surface patch within the boundary defined by the existing model edges, sketches, or curves. So I've got the sketch here, and it's currently doing a patch boundary is a contact boundary. Now when I come and grab this edge, I don't want it to necessarily be in a contact with it. You see it says edge 1 contact. I'm going to change this to tangent. And then let's see what happens if I grab this surface also on his leg. That gives us a little preview here and gives you the idea. See, I want this to be tangent. I want this intersection to be tangent, following this line, tangent to his leg, and also tangent, let's go up here by his tail, also tangent to this area, and this area. It's giving me a little preview of what's happening. And I'll agree to it. It's a little wrinkly. That's funny. So here I've taken off optimized surface. Let's see the results of this. And with optimized surface shut off, I get a much less wrinkly surface there. I really like the results of that. This would be a great time to save. Speaking of, my unsaved document notification just came up. Alright, let's save the document. So we have before and after. You see, optimize. You really did it. It optimized everything, but I don't like the results. Before. After. So using a combination of all these techniques is how the rest of this tiger was done. I'm going to kind of fast forward through this, showing significant areas. I'll just grab the rollback bar here and keep adding in a few significant areas at a time. Let's take a closer look at this arm for just a second. If I open it up, I can come in and see this was done with some 3D sketches. It's got this 3D sketch down the center of it to give it some bulk and to kind of control the musclage also. So please review the area on 3D sketches if you have any questions on this. If we take a look at the property manager of this loft, we can see open group 1, it grabbed this profile. Open group 2, it grabbed this profile here on the right hand side. Then guide curves said, okay, I'm going to use an open group, a 3D sketch, and another open group. So we just selected portions, but the combination of all of these turned into a pretty wonderful arm. Did another surface fill. And again, came in some of these areas, put those on their own sketch. Added in the start of a head, an ear, part of the mouth and jaws, nose. Then did a trim, took a trim out of, and again it's the same thing, just did a sketch, and where that sketch was, and again everywhere that sketch was, he trimmed out the area above it that he didn't want. And started putting areas back in. Now this front paw is worth taking a close look at. The service will open it up and see what was happening in here. Sketch 38. It's around the exterior of his paw. 3D sketch. That's that same sketch that he had earlier. And then let's take a look at the parameters that he used in his feature manager. So he used portions of sketches. Rather than putting everything on its own sketch, he just selected a piece of the sketch. And then used this edge of his existing arm as a guide curve. So we took group 1 up through group 2 down over to group 3, following along guide curve 4, if you will, or edge 1, and made a little paw out here. Just variations on a theme. Did a surface knit towards the last. Put all these pieces together as one surface. And also click the check mark for try to form a solid out of this. So if you turn it over and take a look, he successfully turned this into a solid from a bunch of surfaces. So this is actually now a solid body. And said, oh, I need just a little bit more fillet along his lip here. So he turned on this fillet so he was able to fillet the solid. and gave his tiger smoother lips. That's what's possible with lofted and knitted and filled surfaces. Thanks for watching.